In 2021, the average age of vehicles on the road in America reached a record 12.1 years. Cars are getting faster, safer, more tech-heavy, and the average age of a vehicle in the US is rising.
It has been increasing for really ever since we've been recording it.
Two big reasons for this, say industry analysts: cars have been growing more durable and more expensive. Drivers are holding onto their cars longer, and cars are spending more time in the used vehicle market before they head to the junkyard.
I have a 1993 80 Series Land Cruiser that I bought brand new 28 years ago, and it has 215,000 miles on it, and the engine's never been apart. I have serviced the vehicle regularly and faithfully.
Many buyers, especially those with less money to spend, are seeking out used vehicles as new vehicle prices climb.
There is some concern that this is going to reduce the churn rate, or the number of folks that are going to be buying a new vehicle.
So far, though, plenty of Americans seem to be buying new cars. New vehicle sales reached a record high of 17.5 million in 2016, and the number of vehicles per household has gradually increased over time, even as vehicle age has risen. But every driver that chooses to hold onto a car for another year is postponing a trip to the dealership, and some industry analysts wonder if rising vehicle ages and prices indicate trouble for new car sales in the future. Automakers are stuffing cars with new technology and improvements, but will that be enough to keep buyers wanting the latest and greatest? In the 1970s, a car would be expected to last at most 100,000 miles. At that time, vehicles had 5-digit odometers, so the typical odometer only went up to 99,999 miles. But now it is typical for cars to last well over 100,000 miles, and many will make it to 200,000 or more. 25% of the cars on the road in the US are at least 16 years old. There are some cars that last an especially long time. ICars, a search engine for car shoppers, publishes a list of the longest-lasting vehicles and brands on the road. In order to make the list, at least 2.5% of the cars with a certain nameplate have to make it to the 200,000-mile mark. About 1% of the average vehicle model will make it past 200,000 miles. But some models are disproportionately represented among higher mileage vehicles: SUVs and trucks from Toyota, Honda, and General Motors. The Toyota Land Cruiser, a favorite vehicle of off-roaders, United Nations forces, and wealthy SUV buyers, tops the list. More than 16% of Land Cruisers on the road have at least 200,000 miles on the odometer. It is followed by another large Toyota SUV, the Sequoia.
Then when you go to the third vehicle, which is the Chevrolet Suburban, you're now at 5%. So the first vehicle on the list has 3 times the percentage of models with 200,000 plus miles versus the third vehicle on the list, showing how A, quickly it drops from the first few vehicles on this list, and B, how truly unique and capable and durable the Toyota Land Cruiser is. It really stands out even among this group.
Toyota especially has a reputation for making cars that last a very, very long time.
We have 100 vehicles on display right now in the building, and quite a few of them have an awful lot of miles on them. Over 200,000 miles, 300,000 miles. We have one Japanese market Land Cruiser Prado that was a highway service vehicle, and it has over 420,000 miles on it with the original engine in the frame, and it runs beautifully.
One Toyota owner's full-size Tundra pickup lasted for more than 1 million miles, for example. The automaker bought the truck back and gave the owner a new one.
It's pretty clear that Toyotas have not just a reputation for durability, but a proven track record of durability, just by glancing at this list. Typically, the cars on this list, especially at the top of the list, are body-on-frame cars. You see a lot of body-on-frame vehicles here, and you see a lot of Toyotas. Of course, the Land Cruiser is both. It's a body-on-frame Toyota. And the next vehicle on the list, the Toyota Sequoia, is a body-on-frame Toyota.
Consumer Reports also publishes a list of 10 cars it says are most likely to make it to the 200,000-mile mark, and it is populated entirely with Toyotas and Hondas. It is important to note that just because a car is not on the ICars list doesn't mean it is not reliable. Porsche, for example, has a strong reputation for reliability, but might not make it onto a list like this because Porsche owners often drive their cars conservatively to keep mileage low. In addition to being more durable, cars are also becoming more expensive. In December 2020, the average price of a new vehicle in America reached a record high of $38,000. Average new vehicle prices have been bouncing around the mid-$30,000 range for several years. As this has happened, automakers have also appeared to trim their portfolios of lower-priced vehicles. In 2013, sales of cars costing less than $20,000 made up 20.1% of total annual new car sales. By 2020, that figure was 9.4%. Customers who are priced out of buying new cars are likely to turn more and more to used vehicles. But many owners are simply foregoing car purchases altogether, preferring to hold on to their cars for another year or two. Part of what makes it easier to hold on to vehicles longer is the availability of parts over the internet, even for obscure or old cars. There are opportunities for shops, even dealers, to provide services to cost-conscious car owners looking to delay the purchase of a new vehicle.
Fixed operations of repair and servicing of vehicles is going to be an important part of dealers' operations, and probably a growing, more important part of dealer operations, because all of these vehicles are going to need repairs. If you're going to have a vehicle for 10 years or longer, you're probably going to be visiting your car dealer more and more to try and repair all the little issues that may pop up on that vehicle.
Outside of the vintage or classic car markets, consumers might not be used to thinking of their cars as investments. After all, cars are typically depreciating assets. But the sheer cost of buying a new vehicle might make it more appealing for consumers to put money into the cars they already own, even making major changes like swapping in a new engine. So these trends could mean less demand for the new cars that roll off assembly lines every year. So far, demand for new vehicles hasn't waned, despite the rising age.
You'd think average age would lower the number of opportunities for sales, but it doesn't seem to have done that. It's been good news across the board for new vehicle dealers, used dealers, and the service channel as well.
And there are reasons to think plenty of buyers will still want the latest and greatest in new technology and features.
Lots of folks out there don't want to own a vehicle for 10 years. They want to keep a new vehicle around. They don't like getting over a certain amount of mileage. And so those folks come back to the market every 3-5 years, much more frequently.
Automakers have a number of levers they can pull to induce a customer to swap out their current vehicle for a new one. New safety systems, better fuel economy, infotainment features, cameras, and sensors can all entice buyers.
Just like the iPhone 10 has to be substantially better than the iPhone 9 for anybody to want to shell out another $1,000 to get the latest and greatest. Much is the same in the new vehicle market as well as in the used vehicle market. But that new vehicle has to be substantially different than its used counterpart, because folks are able to buy that used vehicle for substantial savings off the new vehicle price.
Automakers have always freshened their products from year to year, but the pace at which they are doing so seems to be accelerating.
The industry is finding that there's a lot of technology to add on these vehicles, and so the pace of new components, new capabilities is constantly improving as well, and all of that makes the vehicle market a much more rapidly changing industry than it was just a few years ago.
There are a few short-term reasons to think Americans might hold on to their vehicles a bit longer.
The way people interact with their cars may be changing. People staying at home more often for work than they have in the past may actually cause people to consider if they need that additional vehicle, or if maybe we might actually see a catalyst on the horizon for that approach to maybe reverse a little bit, where people decide they don't need quite as many vehicles, or maybe they want different vehicles for more recreational purposes.
New vehicle sales hit a historic high of 17.5 million units in 2016. Since then, they have been falling. Vehicle sales in 2020 were an especially low 14 million due to lockdowns, production stops, and shortages of critical supplies, such as microchips. That means there is a smaller supply of both new and new-ish used vehicles coming into the market, including expired leases or cars tossed from rental fleets. But there is another change coming: the rise of the electric vehicle. Technology is changing so quickly that an EV made one year might be pretty obsolete in a very short time. Consider how much electric vehicle ranges have risen in the last several years.
There's products out there right now that only have a range of 150 miles. Future products are suggesting they're going to have ranges, above 400 miles.
The upside is that it might bring more customers into the market more frequently. The challenge is figuring out what the residual values of EVs will be. It also might make customers skittish to buy an electric vehicle in the first place.
If you bought an iPhone 5, are you willing to sit with that iPhone for 10 years till the iPhone 15 comes out? God knows all of the capabilities that you'd be missing out on from sticking to this technology at an early stage. Well, that's what we're asking electric vehicle buyers to do, that the technology is still moving very quickly.
Nearly every major automaker is pursuing an EV strategy, but the very rapid change in the pace of technological development poses questions of vehicle value for dealers, banks, and customers.
What is the value of a vehicle that gets half the range of a new product that's coming out? And I think this is one of the issues that the industry is struggling with. These retention values are an important part of the industry, especially for the financing side, because the lending companies can't really lease to you a vehicle if they don't know what the residual values are. Lenders may be reluctant to loan money to you if you're going to buy a vehicle if they don't know what these values are. So all of it can be very disruptive to the purchasing side of the industry. And yet, with so much volatility in the technology and development that's going on a daily basis, it's going to be a moving target to try and estimate what these retention values really are.
One solution for this, says Chesborough, is vehicle subscriptions, an idea that has been delved into a bit but not yet fully explored. Subscription plans vary but overall are similar to leases, with some important differences. They are often more inclusive of the total cost of ownership. For example, many subscription plans come with registration, insurance, and maintenance costs bundled into the fee, so owners don't have to account for those separately. Subscription plans also allow customers to swap out one vehicle for another, for example, a newer or different model, as the customer's needs change. Plans like these might allow buyers to sample new vehicles, such as electric cars, without worrying that their investment might be a bad one. And it might enable a car with rapidly obsolescing technology to stay on the road a bit longer. The European Union has said it plans to start phasing out the sale of new internal combustion vehicles by 2035. New York and California have recently set similar targets. Higher fuel prices or fees, such as a gas guzzler tax on especially thirsty vehicles, may turn consumers away from gas cars, shortening their usable lives. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed what kinds of cars people are buying. Sales of RVs and vehicles such as ATVs and dirt bikes have shot up, and the transition away from passenger cars and toward light trucks has quickened. These are signs buyers are rethinking what kinds of cars they want to own, especially as they continue to face the possibility of working from home for a time. Others may simply be sitting on the sidelines altogether, waiting to see what the future holds in terms of new technology and their own needs. Millions of Americans every year decide they want to plunk down the cash for a brand new car, but for many others, there is nothing like driving around a beloved old one.